and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday show. I'm Steve, that's Jake. We're here tonight and Jake will be talking now.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen, and welcome. I'm coming to you live from Trigg County, Kentucky, and Stephen is all the way up in New Jersey. Tonight, we have a very good guest. To say that she is a rock star is probably putting a little bit mildly. Katherine Martinez is the Mid-Atlantic Region Manager for the Travis Manion Foundation. She engages the military community in programs such as Character Does Matter Mentorship, Operation Legacy, the Honor Project. She's a Navy veteran. She served for 4 years serving this great nation. She was a sonar technician, and she was on the USS Winston Churchill. So without any further ado, that's just kind of a little bit of what she does. We'll welcome Katherine to the show. Hello, Katherine.
Hey, Jake. Hey, Stephen. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you.
Glad to have you. Like I said, I gave the 5-cent bio. So tell us about yourself.
Oh, man, where to start? But I'm going to start with my naval service. I served from 2015 to 2019 as a sonar technician. I was a surface sonar technician, so I had the unique opportunity to be on a surface ship like the Winston S. Churchill, which was a destroyer stationed out in Norfolk, Virginia. They've now home port shifted to Florida, which I'm kind of jealous of a little bit. But I had such an amazing experience. It taught me a lot about myself, but the importance of camaraderie and working with so many people from diverse backgrounds. Sonar technician work in a small division, and to be able to gain a family with working with my division, we still talk on a daily basis now, and it's been one of the things I'm most grateful for my experience. But while I was on that ship, I did get injured in the line of duty, which would end my naval career due to the head injury that I had sustained. I now live with a traumatic brain injury, benign paroxysmal positional type vertigo, and cervicalagia, which is this fancy word for a neck injury. But thanks to like the Department of Veterans Affairs, a research study at Virginia Commonwealth University called Project Achieve, I've found ways to live with my conditions, but also thrive. But besides those things, after I separated from the Navy in 2019, I got involved in the community mainly through going back to school. I started my academic journey at Tidewater Community College, which is where I met Shelley Bearden, who was the Veterans Liaison at the time, who introduced to me Student Veterans of America. And at the time when I started school again, I was still active duty, so I was comfortable as Student Veterans of America welcomes service members, their families, and inspired civilians, anyone who is a part of the military affiliated community, they welcome. So I participated and I joined, and as I transitioned out in October 2019, I kind of felt a little bit strange as I didn't want to claim my veteran identity at that time. I was injured. I didn't get to fully fulfill my contract. And there was that sense of guilt and that feeling of I didn't finish serving because of my injury. So to have that kind of early barrier early on was a struggle, but thanks to Student Veterans of America, when I went to my first national conference, January of 2020, I got to meet SVA CEO and President Jared Lyon, who, when I met, I didn't know what I was going to say, but when I finally got the chance after waiting that line, had that conversation, and he let me leave knowing that I am a veteran and I could say that I am a veteran despite my injury, and that my service counts and it matters and I belong in this space. And having that unique experience of being at NatCon, which is Student Veterans of America's national convention, it's full of breakout sessions and has student veterans across the country come to this event, but also veteran-friendly employers and those who really want to connect with the veteran population as they navigate their journeys in higher education. They had several Student Veteran of the Year finalists, and hearing their story, they also shared what they do in school but outside of school, and that was inspiring to me. And I took what they said to heart, but as I made my rounds that first NatCon, I had what Jared said to me. I stumbled across the Travis Manion Foundation table, and I was so grateful because the engaging conversations I had then, what resonated with me was the ethos of if not me, then who. So I'm now to accept my veteran identity. I'm hearing this quote, a powerful quote of you don't do something, who will? And I remember flying back to Virginia because it was in Los Angeles that year, going like, I'm going to be and do better. So as I navigated my journey in higher education, got very heavily invested in what Student Veterans of America had to offer, went to their Leadership Institute in fall of 2020 virtually. And that was the most life-changing experience I ever had. I had a mentor like Kate Logan and my peers, Cameron Zibikowski and Adbeath, and they allowed me to be in a space where at that time in my life, I was struggling personally, but they accepted me who I am, but also instilled in me and kind of guided me of that woman I want to become, and came into 2021 full force after that, those lessons of Leadership Institute, and it paid off. And I thought it paid off December of 2021, where I was named a Student Veteran of the Year finalist. I felt so seen by my community. And while I didn't do any of these things for recognition of volunteering and doing service projects, it was very humbling to be selected out of the 765,000 student veterans that go to school annually. And so I was in the top 10, and I was super excited with that. The 10 finalists I was amongst are amazing, talented human beings like Alex Ortiz or Fatima Jagori and Tiana Pantovich. We're all very close friends to this day, and learning their stories, I was like, man, I don't deserve to be amongst these amazing nominees. But when NatCon 2022 came around, which took place in January 2022 in Orlando, I was named Student Veteran of the Year. And that allowed me to be in a position where my platforms were elevated and have the opportunity to have more engaging conversations with members of my community, but also members of the student veteran population from across the country. And this has allowed me to further expand what I'm doing, whether it's research related or doing my work now in the Travis Manion Foundation. It's just been an amazing and incredible journey. And while it's hard to like summarize like my background and my bio in such a short amount of time, but feel that leading up to today, my role with the Travis Manion Foundation is my full-time job, but have had the privilege of serving on the board of directors of Student Veterans of America and cycled off the board earlier this year, and now sit on the board of directors for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Virginia chapter. I'm an ambassador for NAMI, and I now sit as a governor appointee in Virginia on the Joint Leadership Council of Veteran Service Organizations. So, and just looking in the past couple of years, when I separated in 2019 to now in 2024, which is 5 years, I've been able to thrive, find who I am, and head in the direction of who I want to become, thanks to veteran service organizations and the support of the VA.
Wow. It might have been better to ask, what haven't you done? Okay. That
she hasn't flipped burgers at White Castle or
exactly. Something I want to bring up. It's something that you brought up. I talk to veterans about it all the time, and I've had other people ask me. It doesn't matter how long you were in. It doesn't matter what you did while you were in. And I try to tell people this all the time. I have a friend of mine, and he retired just like I did. But he just so happened to never be in a unit that deployed. He felt like less of a soldier because he never deployed. And, we all raised our right hand and said, yes, we will do it. And we did it. I don't care if you served, 2 years or 20 years. You did you said yes. You said yes. And that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
And
besides,
thank you.
Of course. And besides that conversation from Jared Lyon that personally helped me claim my veteran identity, I went through a program with the Mission Continues called the Women Veterans Leadership Program. And when we were graduating, we had this kind of conversation, as well as some of my peers were still struggling with that part of claiming their veteran status. And Ginger Miller, she's the founder of Women Veterans Interactive Foundation. She phrased it in a way that I love saying all the time. After I heard it, she says, if you have a DD-214, you are a veteran. And it's so powerful. And that's something I carry with me. And sometimes you just need to hear it from somebody else.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. There's, I don't know if all veterans are like, especially on days that are for veterans, Veterans Day, and, people, you might get however many people thanking you for your service or whatever. Yeah, it might get a little taxing, everybody saying that, but it still feels good that there are people out there that do respect your service and the time that you did. I got a question for you here. Explain the Innovate Monarchs, designing a student-ready college.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to go into that a little bit more. So I received my Bachelor of Science degree from Old Dominion University, and in my junior year participated in a program on campus called Innovate Monarchs. This was the unique opportunity to be a student and be a part of a research team to address a problem. And the year that I was participating is creating a college-ready campus for students. And we specifically honed in on African American and Latinx students on campus. How do we better prepare colleges for these unique demographics? As personally, I am Latina and a first-gen college student, and navigating college when my family has no experience and having the unique sets of challenges that I had, it's important to communicate this with our higher education staff. My team was the blue team, and we specifically focused in on the mental health component, which we ended up naming Monarch Reach, which was designed to bridge the gap between students and faculty to have direct conversations to ensure students felt supported while in their higher education journey. And while faculty, we understand that their goal is to educate us and to teach us to have a little bit more of an understanding of where we're coming from, that if we're a few minutes late, it may not be that we don't want to be there. It may just be that like we're running behind, because not all students are living on campus. Some of us are commuters, but some of us may be the providers at home, and we have maybe working more than one job while going back to school, or working full time and going back to school. And it's not to say not holding students accountable, but to just have that additional perspective of these student populations on campus. And it goes more into depth because we utilize the human-centered designing model, which is we don't come with the solution. As research teams, we would go to our communities and have direct conversation with the student body population, asking questions of, what do you need? What do you think are the issues on campus? How would you feel more supported to be more successful in your higher education journey? And taking these responses from the students themselves, assessing it, finding the commonalities, and then start designing something based off these responses, which would lead to our prototype. That way, it's not just an outside entity saying, here's a solution for you. Here you go. We're involving the community. That way, it's a full-on partnership. That way, they have a say in what the possible outcome could be, thanks to their contributions to what they said. But it was a really cool experience. I learned a lot, and especially in using the human-centered designing model, use that now in a lot of the work I do today.
Okay. All right. We had a question from About Face Radio. First said, you're a rock star. How do you find time for all these activities that not only help you, but help others? I mean, where do you find time in your day to do all this?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the compliment. It means a lot. One of the biggest things is being mindful of my schedule. I live with a traumatic brain injury, and I rely on assistive technology. And assistive technology can range from your GPS systems on your phone to a scheduler on your phone, but learning to get into a habit of ensuring that your schedule is up to date. I know not everyone uses this, but it's what personally works for myself. And while I have my full work day, I really like to schedule parts of my day for self-care, but also the things that I love and what I love to do. The military affiliated community is a big part of my life. Thanks to the veteran service organizations and people who have supported me, I make it my personal mission to at least do something for somebody else in my week. And that may be volunteering, that may be reaching out to ask an organization, hey, what's coming up, or how can I help? Or reaching out to another veteran to do a buddy check to be like, hey, how are you doing? So I do get to do a lot of really cool events, and that's putting time aside to do those things. But sometimes a lot of the things that I do are those direct one-on-one, heart-to-heart conversations that are immeasurable of impact, but probably one of the most meaningful things to do, in my opinion.
Okay. Now, through the Virginia Commonwealth University, you also presented a webcast that talks about your experiences and the benefits of cognitive support technology. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I just said, I live with a traumatic brain injury. I was injured in the line of duty while I was on my ship, which would ultimately end my naval career. And as I was getting medically separated from the Navy, I didn't really have a good idea of how I was told I had a TBI, but didn't really know how that impacted my life until I started going back to school. And when I got involved with Project Achieve, they had that initial intro and had that like questionnaire of asking, like, you know, how, like, what do you struggle with anything? And off the bat, I mean, was like, no, not really. Maybe it's just the material not sticking. But they asked more direct questions. They're like, do you lose things? Do you forget things? Do you have a hard time remembering numbers? Do you have a hard time remembering what you just read? How do you learn? Whether it's a kinesthetic learner, are you someone who likes to just read things? Is it somebody who likes to be a hands-on kind of person? And it was these questions that I started to realize, oh, I do struggle with that. Or yeah, I have a hard time with that. Or yeah, my friends kind of get mad at me when I don't remember what they just said, even though they're right in front of me. And having this type of assessment and being able to go like, wow, like I'm now starting to see how having a TBI is impacting my life, and kind of explains why I'm having a hard time going back to school. And in this process, this assessment was done because Virginia Commonwealth University had a program called Project Achieve, which studied the benefits of assistive technology of women veterans with traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injury. And I would actually be a participant of this program for the entire duration of their funding, which was 3 years long. So they provided counselor support from my time at Tidewater Community College till I graduated from Old Dominion University. And in my assessment offered me different applications. So I got an iPad and they gave me a gift card, and we would talk about what apps to try if they costed anything, to just exercise them. And these were apps like Elevate, which kind of like helped with like memory, where there were other apps that helped with securing your password to have your passwords in one place. That way it was secure. And, you know, if you forget your password, you're not like trying to click the forgot password thing. And next thing you know, you forgot your email password, and now you can't even access the email message to reset your password for the other thing. But probably one of my favorite tools that I gained from this program is called GoodNotes 5. I think the newer edition is GoodNotes 6, but it's a program that allows you to upload your PDFs, your PowerPoints, your textbooks, anything that you can upload in there, you could. And it allows you to highlight, write notes over on top, and it would even like help you record things that way as you're studying, can play back in real time what you were doing. And having assistive technology supports like that were why I was able to go on to achieve my degrees, but also as I was retaining more information and felt a little bit more confident in how I carried and conduct myself. Because when you start to forget things, and when your friends get a little bit frustrated with you for forgetting things, it's not because I was trying to be a bad friend. It's I truly couldn't remember. I gained my confidence back, and the strong support system that I had was understanding as I was learning the true impacts of my traumatic brain injury, was able to thrive and started having a healthier relationship with my friends and my work life and my school life. So in that podcast, really talk about my experience throughout that program and how having direct and honest conversations with even your provider can lead to some really great quality of life changes for you. Because even beyond that, I've gone on to be able to work with the traumatic brain injury clinic with the VA, and they've connected me with other resources that I didn't even know the VA had, from like seeing a cognitive therapist where they provided me with a pen called LiveScribe. And this is a unique piece of technology that is a pen that has a camera on the tip of the pen. So it'll record what you're writing down, and it can audibly record what you hear. The pen will record too, and you could upload it to either your phone, your tablet, or computer, wherever you have the app at, to take all those notes that you've written down and transcribe it for you digitally. So again, it has that playback function. And for someone like myself who is a kinesthetic learner, it's really easy to study and have that muscle memory of, yeah, I remember writing that, or even playing back what was recorded audibly, like, oh, I forgot to write that down, and you can add that onto your notes. So that podcast was really informative of explaining like my experiences with assistive technology and encouraging others who may be also struggling with living with a traumatic brain injury, may want to have those exploratory conversations with their provider. Okay.
That's some awesome technology.
Yes.
I didn't even know stuff like that. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's I like that, because I don't know. I find myself, I can remember things that happened 40 years ago, but I can't remember what I ate for breakfast. So it's it's one of those things. Now, I also read something on here that, and this is something very near and dear to our hearts here at the Misfit Nation, that you just recently joined the board of directors for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in Virginia.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, that is something that is very near and dear to our hearts. We lose not only our brothers and sisters, veterans, we lose, people we love. And tell us a little bit about your work with them.
Absolutely. And to go back to how that even started, I have to go back to 2017. That is when I lost my mentor to suicide while serving. Senior Chief Sue Eisinger died by suicide January 2017, shortly after I made it to the fleet. At the time, she was the senior enlisted detailer at Millington, and she was just a person that was so friendly, so bubbly. And I met her while going through my schoolhouse, and she was one of the first people while serving in the Navy. She said that I'm going to change the world. She said, you're going to change the world one day. I don't know how, but I just get that feeling from you. And that warmed my heart. And when you're junior enlisted and you hear that from a senior chief, you're just like, senior just probably says that to everybody. And I was just happy that she said it to me, as I loved being in Sonar Tech A School, and I made some of my best friends there. My best friend Autumn and I are still very close to this day. But she said that to me, and I was so excited, as I reached out to her pretty often, since my detailer wasn't really responding to my emails or phone calls. But she would assure me, she's like, you are going to get to a great command. I will make sure of it. And so I arrived to the Churchill, and shortly after is when I found out of her passing. And like anybody who experiences loss, you go through those stages. But probably the first feeling for me was anger. I was pretty upset that how can someone who has given their pretty much entire adult life to serve not have the support to prevent something like this. And I remember the day of her wake. It was at Naval Station Norfolk Chapel. My division came in and they're like, Martinez, we're ready to go. And I decided not to, because I was too upset. I was too angry and just didn't want to go. And it was shortly after that I would learn that Senior Eisinger's last ship was the Churchill. So she truly meant it when she said I was going to go to a great command. I just didn't know that connection until afterwards. But hearing the stories of how she impacted the lives of others and being on the last ship where everybody on board knew her as well, it was that driving force to me to figure out like what is out there, what is available to service members while they're in service. Like, what can we do? What can we happen? Because at that point, all I really knew about suicide prevention in the armed forces was our annual presentation on suicide prevention. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And that wasn't enough for me. So as I was coping with the loss of my mentor, I was researching on the internet and came across the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They have what's called Out of the Darkness walks, and saw that they were having one in Norfolk in the fall. And I signed up. I signed up to go, and they have these necklaces, and these necklaces are in a variety of colors, symbolizing different types of loss. So for military and first responder, it's silver beads. And I saw some blue beads that means support of the cause, so bringing attention to suicide awareness and prevention. So I grabbed those two. And these walks are powerful because you see everyone wearing those colors. And as you pick up the beads, you see the board that explains the type of loss. So there's colors for loss of a sibling, loss of a parent, someone who is currently struggling, and so on and so forth. And everyone's just walking together. And after that walk, I ended up going to the one in Virginia Beach, and I just kept wanting to do more. And at these walks, they had local support, community supports, and I would take their card information and I would start making like these lists of like where they were located, like if they were free, if they cost anything, if they didn't. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't know something like this existed. And I would share it with my peers on my ship. But some time would go by, and the area director, her name is Kathy Guller, would reach out the next year. And she sat down with me in June of 2018, I believe, and asked like, hey, I see you getting involved. I see you continuing to share resources. Would you want to be the walk chair for Virginia Beach? And I was just like, I don't know. I'm junior enlisted. I feel like not a lot of people are going to have to come if it's like myself. I feel like you should get someone who's a little bit more distinguished, a little bit older, or, has a little bit more experience. Because I was just an E3 at the time when I lost my mentor. So I was there wasn't really a lot there. And she's all like, we would love to have you. We see your passion, and that's what we want, is someone who cares and wants to bring information. So it was from there that from 2018 to 2020, I'd be the walk chair for Virginia Beach. And I made it imperative and a goal to continuing to bring resources, not just for the general population, but those who honed in on specific demographic, like service members and their families, and would have these amazing conversations of like, hey, here's how a service member can do a self-referral to the emergency room. Here's how a service member can go to counseling. This is how a military spouse can get access to care. Here's how a military child can get access to therapy. And this unique experiences allowed me to learn so much that I brought it back to my command. So not only was I doing this externally, I always remembered to bring it back. And I sustained my injury in August 2017 and got switched to MARMAC, which is the Mid-Atlantic Regional Maintenance Center, shortly after. And as I was continuing to be a walk chair, I helped revitalize the suicide prevention program while I was in service. And unfortunately, after I left, sometimes programs fall apart if the person's not there. But got to see how meaningful this was to my fellow service members and brothers and sisters that would take the information and just share it to their friends. I made this Word document that, again, just listed all these websites of resources, and it started to go beyond just like things that were helpful during mental health crises. It's that before the river part, like how do we assist someone before they get to this point? I got Safe Talk and Assist trained. I actually was a trainer for both of these programs for a few years, and started sharing resource information for those who may need financial assistance, those who may be having a hard time finding a job when they get out, those who may be struggling with eating disorders, and the list goes on, because prevention is a multifaceted issue that requires a lot of attention. And the more resource information that we share, the more informed we are to better help somebody who might be struggling in one or a variety of issues. So in 2020 is when I stopped being the walk chair. I had to have that heart-to-heart conversation with myself where I was having a hard time in my own military to civilian transition. I got out October 2019 and just kind of who is Katherine Martinez now that she's out of the Navy? Who is Katherine Martinez when she's struggling in school? Because this mirrors like my time with the Virginia Commonwealth University program, Project Achieve, of just kind of navigating those waters for myself. So it took a break from being involved and was so grateful when Kathy reached out last year. And because even though I was no longer in charge of the walk, I was still very much involved in bringing attention to veteran suicide and sharing resources for service members, veterans, and their families. She had a conversation with me asking if I'd be willing to interview to join the board of directors. And it took me aback because it was that full circle moment of being able to continue to provide service in this way of a topic I'm very passionate and very much keep close to my heart and talk about very often. That was very elated when I was voted onto the board last year and get to continue bringing on my personal experiences, knowledge, and I now co-chair the DEI committee on the board, as well as I very much like to bring up how do we continue to address veteran suicide and how do we better assist our service members who are currently serving.
Okay. You're doing great things. Yeah. And I am sure, that I think your senior chief was right. You're going to change the world, and you might do it one person at a time, but you're going to change the world. I truthfully believe you can do that. What I'm going to ask you for, it shouldn't put you on the spot here, but what are 3 pillars to your success? What's 3 things that you think really attribute to your success in what you're doing?
The 3 pillars I will probably say align with my values and my key cornerstones. So to name 3 of them, it's community, collaboration, and understanding. Having a strong sense of community has allowed me to be in a position where I was vulnerable and accepted and brought up by those who gave me a chance when I didn't believe I belonged in a lot of spaces. Collaboration, working with others. I'm one person. I can't specialize in everything as much as I wish I could. But there are some things you can do that I can't, but there may be things I can do that you can't, and acknowledging what we can and can't do, but finding a way to bridge the gap between the work that we do and reaching the community, parts of our community that truly need it, has been something I like to focus and hone in on. So collaboration and community go hand in hand for me. And the third thing is understanding. We're all human beings, and to human is to err. Being in a constant state of thriving is impossible. And if I reach out to someone and be like, hey, I need help with this, or if someone reaches out to me like, can you help me because I need help in this? It's having the grace and understanding that we're not all perfect beings, and to be given the grace and understanding to go with that, and being open-minded and receptive to opinions and perspectives, how others has allowed me to intentionally design projects that have better suited our community as a whole. So those would probably be the 3 things that have contributed to my success, is that the successes aren't just my own. It's that of working directly with other people's, but having the understanding of others, but also understanding where I'm at, that has made a huge difference as well.
Okay. Jim via Google Text wants to know if you have tried Remarkable Tablet for taking notes as well.
I have not, but what I will do is look into it, and I will write it down right now so I don't forget to.
Thank you for that question, Jim. And Rich's favorite member of the mission continues. Heather McCarty says hello.
I love Heather. She has Heather's notes. If you've never received a Heather's notes, that's something you want to have in your life. She has taught me so much of how to claim my status as not just as a veteran, but embrace my feminine identity and what it means to be a woman. So thanks, Heather. Hi.
All right. I am going to put up your LinkedIn address again, just in case anybody wants to get in touch with you. You got anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, I just want to share with everybody that everybody can do something. It doesn't have to be a grandiose project. It can be something as simple as just reaching out to say hello to someone or how have you been. It makes such a big impact and difference. But if you're looking for something coming up soon, just want to share that there is an opportunity to get involved with the Travis Manion Foundation called the Honor Project. This project allows people from across the country, whether it's a battle buddy or a family member, submits the name of a loved one, and you can go to the National Cemetery, get a token, place it at that person's grave, final resting place, take a photo and send it back to the person who submitted that name. It's on Memorial Day weekend, so you have the opportunity to really have the opportunity to share this with your family and understand and recognize what Memorial Day is for, but also help those families that may not be able to visit have the opportunity to see that their loved one is being visited.
All right. Yes, that is something that we can definitely do. Stephen, anything?
No, I have nothing. I'm sitting here amazed at all the things that she's
accomplished. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Katherine, it was so good having you on here this evening. I just wish you the best of luck and blessings in your endeavors, and you just keep reaching as many people as you can. And maybe sometime you want to pop back on here in a year or so and tell us how many more things we can add to your resume.
Thank you so much. It's been such a privilege to be able to speak with you and Stephen and the rest of the Misfit Nation this evening. But I will take that invitation and come back in a year's time to see how not only I've progressed, but our community has. So thank you again for this amazing opportunity to just share my story, but connect with others.
All right. And Stephen and I and the Tuesday crew, we want to thank everybody across all platforms for signing in and listening tonight. Remember to like and subscribe on all platforms. And if you are watching a recorded version of this, thank you very much. And Stephen, I guess we'll see everybody next Tuesday.
Have a great night, Katherine. It was great having you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
For every veteran, there is a story about a calling to serve, to fight for the freedoms of the American people. And every story has a struggle, a sacrifice, and invisible wounds. Warrior Watts programs help veterans recover from PTSD and invisible wounds through exercise, nutrition, and connecting with other veteran leaders. It is estimated that 22 veterans die each day by suicide, and another 30 veterans die each day by substance abuse. These are preventable deaths. Warrior Watt is committed to fighting PTSD through fitness, nutrition, and community.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation.